Hello, good morning, happy Friday. It's 9:45. I'm TK and this is Coach on the Rocks. I'm hoping that you're starting a wonderful day. So, as every Friday, I'm talking about the new episode of our podcast, Leading with Agility, that you can find on your favorite podcast player that we've just released. And we've been talking about some interesting things. It's actually titled, it has Summer Slump in its title, but we've been talking about varied things. And one very interesting topic that we've covered is the work and business of Sir James Timpson, or Lord Timpson, now the Minister for Prisons. Definitely someone that deserves a fancy title because he runs a wonderful business, the Timpson Group. If you're not in the UK, these are the corner shops where they help you fix small things, fix your shoes, change the batteries and straps in your watches, and he gives second chances to people with difficult past. By the way, if you're in Putney, visit Timpson's there. Joe is an absolute artist. My shoes are in perfect shape, and I always believe that you should fix things rather than throw them out. And his customer care and craft is second to none. I really, really love swinging by, saying hi, and obviously making sure my shoes are fixed. It's a shame because as I, dress less formally now, there's less fixing to do, but still. Best to care for the environment and great craftsmen you have in your vicinity. Anyways, regarding what we spoke about, we talked about caring for employees, which is Sir James's or Lord James's one of the key principles when it comes to his business. But there's a catch, and we've talked a bit about it in the show, but I would like, and do listen, I think it's a lovely chat. Sadly, Arif came down with a bit of a bug. So his voice wasn't great and he's taking a day off today, but a good conversation nevertheless. What we've talked about, and one of the topics we brought out, and I think I haven't had a chance to talk about it enough, is the fact that I'm all in for caring for your employees. And, we should provide benefits that will motivate them. Flexible working is amazingly important. Giving people freedom. There's so much I always talk about on this show and podcasts and webinars, and we fairly believe when it comes to humble associates. But one would have to think about the situation as it is. In the UK, I've seen a video on YouTube saying, how did the UK become a poor country? The economic situation isn't great. If you're from the UK, you absolutely know you might unfortunately be impacted. I'm running a small business. I know quite well. Okay, fine, it's a boutique consultancy, still not a corner shop, but still, the economy is impacting us quite a bit. And if you're outside of the UK, well, we're hoping to make things better. But a tide raises all the boats, but there is also an opposite effect. So you have a situation where, you're providing all these wonderful care for your employees. But what happens if going gets tough? Because the economy takes a downturn, your company overall isn't doing well. And how do you care for them then? And it's an interesting one because, what's the level at which you have to do things differently and have a senior conversation? Not a serious conversation, sorry. Doesn't matter where it came from. Because also, what can happen in certain companies is it might not be triggered by economic hardship, but for instance, by the lack of growth or any other, or not being the first, or whatever it means to be performing well or to the expected standard by a given organization. What I wanted to talk about is, one, the definition of when going gets tough, and two, you might have to ask your employees to do more with less in these circumstances. Caring for your employees, in my opinion, isn't always about providing benefits. Sometimes, and that's a difficult one that we need to unpack, It's making sure that you're meeting their basic needs, as in helping them keep their livelihood through employment. And because, at the end of the day, if you're out of business, they're out of work. And in the tough times, it's double hard. So, preaching to the choir, like many people, I'm a huge fan of flexible work and investing in your employees, all that. But, what happens when it gets tough? What happens if, we can say, you can't overload your employees because they won't be creative. But what if they have to do more with less? What if the situation is that these benefits obviously have a cost? Sometimes possibly a cost in productivity, like a 4-day week is great, one would say, although controversial, probably another Coach on the Rocks episode. But what if you need to pick yourselves up as a company to survive? And it's an important one because, theoretically, you should be fair. You should help your employees and give back when you've got thick years, and you can. And in these thin, difficult situations, your employees will help you out. Right? That's the thing. And I think being honest about what's going on, what's there, and being transparent and authentic really helps. So people understand what's going on. And I think this obviously can be exploited, and it is. I've seen organizations managing by crisis. People are intelligent. They will know. And, it's like, if you're being dishonest, you only invite dishonesty. I spoke about the lack of trust for your employees in the organizations, but the opposite can be true too. If organizations behave in a certain way, in a certain culture, the employees will not trust their organizations. And thus, we're losing so much that can be gained through really a good relationship. I've talked about it in one of the previous episodes, being a family and so on. Controversial, but that's the case. But it also, doesn't only apply, as I said, to hard times. It also applies to companies that, for instance, focus on relentless growth, focus on being the champions. It's the choice that people can make. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm not here to preach. The market will decide, or other circumstances. Thankfully, our reality is done as such that it is, verifying our concepts, and our decisions. And if, as we're leaders, we're free to make them. Being a business owner, I definitely know what it means, good or bad. And it's a bit of a roller coaster. But if your organization is focused on relentless growth, and for instance, and being the first, and by some situation you're not there, and you need to ask your employees to do more, I think it's also important that people know what they're signing up for. Many people will enjoy that because I guess it comes with benefits. I'm thinking if I'm in an organization that's always first, I can derive personal pride. Possibly, I can expect that the organization has high margins, and some of it will trickle down in monetary benefits, and that's fine. I've worked in an investment bank, and the culture was that. And someone once said to me something I will never forget, which is, in investment banking, everyone wants to get an A, the highest grade, depending on the country you're in. Not that I wasn't cut out for that. At the stage of life that I was in, I just thought, this is ridiculous. But it's the choice they made. And I, accepting a position there, a contract, I guess I need to be conscious of the fact where I'm going to, right? And, I can't say that they're making a completely wrong decision. In their industry, that's the standard. People going for that are subscribing to it, and it has a lot of ridiculousness. But many organizations have a lot of ridiculousness. You could say the same about Timpson's. How can you hire someone with a troubled past? It's a risk. And yet, if, as Lord James Timpson, the Minister for Prisons, makes this decision, He's actually exercising his own mission in life and the world, and I think it's a wonderful thing. Again, the decision is yours, but there's more than one way to care for your employees. And it's just important to be honest about it, because if you're being dishonest, you'll get what you'll get. Market and your organization will definitely give you feedback. You might not even see it before it's too late. Or maybe I'm wrong, and you still will manage to skip. After all, as we talked about it in our podcast, Twitter, now called X, still exists with a fraction of the employees they had. Can't deny it. It's there. With that, hopefully I'm leaving you in a good mood. So maybe I should add something that I do hope that things will get better. After every challenging moment, be it in the country, in our lives, in our health, or even in our thoughts, all things are temporary. They will pass, and things will get different. Hopefully better. And I wish it upon everyone watching this show. The same way I wish you all the best for your Friday and the weekend. I've been blabbing for quite some time now, so I best let you go. Have a nice one, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.